guys, to another Couchisode. We are the Couch Buddies, and I am DJ, and this guy right here is...
Blade, and you blew me away with that one.
I was trying something different. Today.
You were.
And you know, it's for those people that just listen to us. They don't actually watch the video, so you know, at least they will have, whoa, what the hell is this? Did I tune into the wrong channel?
Yeah,
No,
did they drink something today, or whatever?
No, I did not. Well, besides the normal things that I already drink, which is non-alcoholic beverages, because you know, my religion does not allow me to drink any alcoholic beverages.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
joking, no. Welcome guys to another Couchisode, and you know, as it is usual here on this channel, we're gonna bring you another set of games that we really liked, and hopefully today we'll also have someone else bringing us some of the games that they like, as we have
We do.
Some special participation from one of our viewers again.
Yeah.
Guys, don't forget, like some people have been doing in this channel, please don't forget you can also do the same. We already explained this a million times. The email address is on the description. If you want to send us something, please be reminded, use the email below. You can send us a text, you can send us an audio, you can send us your own video editing. It's fine. We'll feature it on the channel, and it will be a pleasure to have you with us. So, Blade, what are we going to do today?
Just relax.
Sure. Okay, good.
You'll just stay here and No, so
all right,
let's talk about games and I'll get this started, shall we?
Yes, go ahead, my friend.
Okay, so I'll bring a game that I loved to play back in the 90s. It's from 1990, and it's a strategy game. A turn-based strategy game, something that isn't quite what you like to play, right?
Well, RTS in general is not really a favorite of mine, but I can't say I haven't played some of them.
Not RTS, turn-based.
Well, okay, Laser Squad.
Yeah.
When you talk about turn-based, I remember Laser
cool
Squad immediately.
So now I'm going to talk about the game called Warlords. You know this one?
I can't say I do.
Okay,
Sorry.
So this is basically a strategy game. Wow, surprise, surprise. Now, you basically play with 8 different factions in a large map, and in this game you can just conquer the map to win the game, or you can raise cities. You have a lot of castles in the game, starting from the beginning. You start with one little castle, with a hero and a few units. You have to expand, you have to explore libraries, ruins, and a lot of stuff in the map, so you can get special bonuses and weapons, and even special units like dragons. What you have to do in this game, and it's quite a basic game. If you look at the gameplay, you'll see it's a basic game. You have the second and the third one, they're awesome. But this one was quite fun, and you just had to spend a couple of hours to end one of these games if it went well. You had to conquer the whole map, not the whole map, basically the enemy castles, which would end up being the whole map, or just raise at least 2/3 of the map to win. You would become the warlord.
Looking at the graphics that, you know, and the gameplay we're looking at right now, it sounds, or no, not it sounds, it looks like really basic and really, you know, consistent with the 1990s era and those games that we had back then in terms of strategy. I mean, I remember, or I saw, actually not remember, even in the menus, it was that kind of, you know, basic created game, or seemed like a basic created game.
Yeah, but it was so awesome.
I did not play it though. You know, strategy was never a really even the turn-based ones wasn't really much of a, you know, a preferred style for me, or genre. Although I played a lot of, you know, later on Command and Conquer and
that's an RTS, you know, and it's awesome.
Exactly, StarCraft and all of that. I did play those, but I don't know. But these early days of the genre, I don't really remember having any title that would, you know, pop out immediately like that and would tell me that, oh yeah, I love this game.
No, but this was quite awesome. This game was fun because you could actually play these 8 players in the same computer. It was awesome. But it had some annoying details, some very annoying details. You could actually go to a ruin, explore it, and you get a special unit, a dragon, for instance. Okay. You go to a castle and it has a spearman defending it. It's the weakest unit you can imagine. You send a dragon to fight it, and you lose. And it was stupid. Sometimes you lost combats that were just impossible to lose.
That sounds like someone screwed up programming that one. Or maybe, I mean, maybe it's intentional. I wouldn't say.
Or maybe it was just random.
Indeed. Again, I mean, when you're talking about turn-based, I guess that you have this, you know, this. You don't have the same limitations as if it was real time. So you can basically have as many players as you want playing from a single machine, as long as it's turn-based. You know, you tell your friend, get out of the seat and let me sit now and play. And that's, you know, probably before the internet era, that's how many of us would actually play.
Yeah, that's
even
how it worked.
Before the consoles and all of that, was how some of us played certain genres of games. But again, no, I didn't see it. I didn't actually play it before. So maybe let us know in the comments if any of you guys actually did play this one. I didn't.
DJ, you should try this one. Even if you don't like the first one, try the second one. It's a bit more complex. The game is awesome, but
yeah, I noticed that there's another game of this one. I also did some.
And you have an RTS version called Battle Cry. 3 games also, I think.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll give it a go. Unfortunately, with these days, nowadays, and with the pandemic, I kind of stocked up on a lot of games that I haven't finished yet. Not all of them necessarily retro and old, but there's still a lot of my backlog that I certainly have to go back. All right, so on my side today, I'm gonna bring a game that you know, probably you and everyone else played, because this was quite famous. I believe it was already mentioned on one of the our Portuguese episodes. I'm not really sure about it, but if it wasn't us, someone already talked about it. But if it wasn't, you know, sorry about that. Maybe we'll have to talk about it there. And I'm going to talk about Stunts, aka 4D sports driving from 1990 for MS-DOS. So to tell you a bit about this game, this was something that was very present on my early teenage days, because this was present on my, you know, my first PC, my first desktop that I had. And this game actually was one of those that I remember transversing from PC speaker to actual sound cards, and I remember being completely amazed by the sound of this game, the MIDI sounds coming from my Sound Blaster clone that I had. It wasn't even an original Sound Blaster; it was an ESS audio drive. So, and what basically this is a 3D racing video game, and it was developed by the Fifteenth software and published by Brotherbund in 1990. You know, it's very simple. In Stunts, the players race a lap around the circuit with the aim of completing the lap as quickly as possible without crashing. However, these laps often feature special track areas such as loops and jumps, including, you know, sometimes even over tall buildings, slalom roads, corkscrews, and so on and so forth. So there's a little bit of challenge there, and it's quite unconventional because it's not simply a racing game based on, you know, actual tracks or tracks that sometimes even don't make any sense.
And just remember the map editor there, the track editor.
Oh yeah,
where you just made stupid tracks just to have fun.
You could do the most amazing things. And this was one of the things I remember about this game was actually with friends that actually played it. You could basically take a disc to their house, copy the track file, and then bring it to your house and then play it on your computer, which was so amazing to be able to do this. Some of my friends were actually doing, you know, really nice tracks, and then at the end of the day or the next day, we would, you know, again meet at school and say, so what's the time you did it on this track, and what's the time you did it on that track? So the competition here was doing the least amount of time in some of the customized tracks that we had. Talking about times, the players could either race against the clock or choose between 6 different opponents, and there was no support for real-time multiplayer, so there was no way of having multiplayer in this game. And then, you know, there was a question about the physics. So, you know, this was 1990, so we can't really expect a lot of physics or anything like really, you know, accurate. But you could actually drive on paved roads, gravel roads, icy, snowy roads, and so on. And all of them have different levels of grip. So at least here, you could feel that when you would go out of the track, the car would not stabilize or wouldn't have the same type of control. So it has relatively advanced pseudo physics. for the time, and it can simulate, for example, understeer and oversteer, and also the grip can be proportional to the banking of a curve. So let's say if you go 200 kilometers per hour in a curve that is too angled, then obviously your car is going to grip, drift away from the curve itself. So again, quite basic, but it was really, really interesting for the time.
I think everyone had that game.
I guess everyone did. Like it's part of a series. Like for example, you had the 4D boxing, which was obviously it had nothing to do with cars, but graphically it was the same thing, and that's what I was about to say. For example, the game features a 3D engine with flat shading and no texture. So these were just polygons, straight flat polygons, like for example the Virtua Fighter on the Sega 32X, if you remember, the Mega Drive 32X. Those were plain polygons. There was, I don't even remember, I don't think there was any textures or shading on even one of them. So, it includes... Sorry?
I think not. The shading.
I think not too, yeah. I mean, I think that... I don't even know if even on the Saturn it had any textures. I think it did. Maybe it did. Again, I'm not really sure what I'm saying right now, so apologies, guys, for the Sega lovers. This might be incorrect. Anyways, it includes, for example, trees and road signs, and there was a few sprites, and obviously the resolution we're talking about here was 320 by 200 with 256 colors. So again, it was what we had at the time and how it was possible. But again, it provided a lot of fun by the reasons I just said. You could edit the tracks, you could share them, you could see who could do the best time. It had a lot of cars available. It had from Lamborghinis to Humvees. It had a Formula One car.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of different experiences that you could have there. It even had a Lancia. I don't remember which one it was, but it was a rally car, I believe. And it was amazing. I mean, it was amazing the fact that you could, despite that the game didn't have like a lot of different modes to play, and the tracks were basically either the ones that come by default or the ones that you could ask your friends or yourself actually to do. That was it. I mean, the only thing that would make this game more appealing was the fact that you could share the tracks with your friends and then try different methods, try different cars, which was really, really fun for that matter. And that was it. I mean, there's not much more to say about this game. Simple, but it's the beauty of simplicity. Sometimes it's the most simple things that actually make it worth it.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was an awesome game.
I guess that now it's a good time as any other to move to one of the participations that we had, talking about a very good game from the 16-bit era that was kind of, for us here in Portugal, was a game that covered something that we're not really used to see, or even, something that we don't really follow here in Portugal. And yet, the game actually was very, very popular. So,
extremely
what do you
popular.
think, Blade?
Yeah, let's get right onto it. So, here it goes.
It is my pleasure to be back with another awesome gaming memory. The year is 1994 and the Sega Mega Drive is skyrocketing here in Portugal. Ice hockey is not a popular sport in our country, but EA changed it all with the amazing NHL 94. This was the first hockey game with fully licensed teams and players. It also provided a lot of gaming modes, such as regular season, tournament, and even playoffs. Also, the game allowed for continuous seasons with trades, injuries, and a visual presentation that tried to emulate a live TV broadcast. The sprites, as you can see, were really well made, and the arenas had crowd animations, music, and the overall sports environment. This was huge back then, elevating the experience to a pretty accurate simulation style, with full-on customizable rules and a fluid and fun gameplay. I remember spending hours with my friends creating tournaments and competing for the Stanley Cup. It was truly the original catch-up experience, and to this day it is still my favorite NHL game. Thank you very much for your time. Keep up with the great work and see you soon, Couch Buddies. And remember, my friends, game on.
Man, thank you very much for the participation in this video. Again, ice hockey, something that in Portugal we're not really used to see, as I was saying. Curiously, where I live in Poland, obviously it's a big thing. In fact, off season, for example, when there is no ice hockey season going in Poland, the stadium here, the Krakow ice hockey ring, is actually rented to people that just want to go there and learn how to ice skate, which I did myself. So it's very funny though. I've curiously, I've never saw an ice hockey game, but again, the game was very popular in Portugal. I remember seeing a lot of my friends with NHL. I played NHL myself, not in the 16-bit era, but already in the PC and with 3D graphics and so on. I can't
actually
remember really
played this
which
one.
it was. Yeah,
And I played
don't
this
remember
one to
which one it was.
exhaustion.
Yeah,
It was an awesome game, but it was hard as nails. You had the like superhuman keepers. It was extremely hard to score a goal here.
I guess the thing with NHL is the same thing as with the NBAs, because again, it's not, I mean, I'm not going to say that we don't have basketball in Portugal. Obviously we do, but again, it's not the major sport, and not being the major sport, there's always this this thing that the game might not be successful. Obviously FIFA and Pro Evolution Soccer would always sell a lot in Portugal, because that's our main sport is football or soccer. I mean, if you are from US, obviously it's called soccer. But any other sports, like from ice hockey, from even volleyball, for example, is not very common. And yet these games are popular. I guess the sports genre, or the sports genre, takes takes a lot of fans, and we do like sports in general rather than just specific sports, anyways. Thank you very much for sending this over to us.
Thank you so much.
It's a good one for us to remember. And Blake, you want to close this off with another good game that you have for us today?
Yeah, sure. I wouldn't exactly call this a good game. It was an entertaining game, but it was an RTS from '97, if I recall right, called Crush, Kill and Destroy, or KKND for short.
Now that you see, now there's one that I played, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm not sure if it was good, but it was weird. That
it was
game
weird. Well, it had two peculiar things. It had not that many units you could play around, but the ones you had, they were weird. They were seriously weird. You had a giant crab with a rocket launcher in its back.
Man, there's like Bigfoots with machine guns on top of
them. This was a weird game.
What was that?
Now, this was a pseudo Command and Conquer-ish game, and you had two factions, the humans and the mutants. The story basically was that there was a nuclear war, and whoever survived the nuclear war on the surface became mutants, and whoever survived in the depths, in the underground, a few years later came out, and the mutants were ruling the world, and they were just fighting to take control of the world. This was the story.
And let me guess, this happened in the United States.
Yeah, most likely, yeah.
Of course.
I don't remember, to be honest.
Because, in movies, there's no other country in the world than the United States. That's usually
that's basically the world. No, but
exactly.
This game was exactly like Command and Conquer. You had the cutscenes, you had the strategy, you had the same type of buildings. You just had weird, and I mean weird units. But it was a fun game to play. I actually owned the original copy of this one, the big box one. And I played this from start to finish with both factions, and I had fun playing it. But if you ask me, is this a great game? It was a fun game. You could play it, but RTS
really
games
matter.
sold like hotcakes back then, so if it was an RTS game, well, I'd get it.
I guess that back in the 90s it didn't really matter. And I think that it wasn't just in the 90s, even in the 80s. Yeah. It doesn't really matter if it's good, because some people only had that to play. And we already talked about that here, that how many times we were fooled by a nice cover of a ZX Spectrum game that came in the box of the cassette.
Far too many times.
And then we put the game on and said, wow, the game is terrible. But this was the 90s, man. It was just like this. It doesn't matter. And I think even the developers themselves made a comment about that, right?
Yeah, they actually said that this game was crap. And they sold like 600,000 copies of this one. And they actually admit the game was crap. But it was fun.
They might think that today 600,000 copies is very little, and well,
it wasn't back then. By
back
no
then it
means.
was a lot, and or I mean I wouldn't say that it was a lot, but it was a respectable amount of copies.
Oh yeah.
And considering that everything had to be sold physically, there was no digital stores.
Yeah.
There's always the problem with logistics and stuff like that. So 600,000 copies was really a very decent amount. And again, for a game that their own creators called as crap. So, guys,
No, but if you have a chance, just try it out. It's still on GOG. And you can get it there. It's cool. KKND 2 also came out, and it was better. The game was better. But it's still in the same line. But it's a fun game to play still, so just grab it. Try it out if you haven't played it.
I still remember the box. I still remember seeing the big box for sale. Nothing really out of the ordinary. It was just the name of the game, and then with some like bullet holes on a back end. I think
bullet holes and KKND. Basically, this was the cover.
Wow, freaking terrible.
Yeah, but it sold.
Yeah, guys, it's the 90s, so you already know about the 90s period and how good it was. Blade, I think I'm going to close this off today to our viewers here.
Yeah.
I hope you guys enjoyed it today. As you know, next week we'll be coming back with another Couchisode. As you already know, leave a like if you like, leave a dislike if you didn't like. Consider subscribing to the channel. And don't forget, next week, another Couchisode. So guys, game on.
Yeah, don't forget to be back for more next week. We will basically bring you a bit more of traumatic moments like today. And we'll just have fun in the couch. So have fun everyone, stay safe and game on.
Game on guys, see you.